Yeah, but even so, everyone still treats me like I'm a little kid, Flower says, and it's the same thing over and over again whenever someone brings up my age. The reason why no one wants to admit you're 29 years old is because you never act your age, Luna says. If you were to act more maturely, then maybe people would be more willing to treat you like an adult. As far as I'm concerned, you're still the same little girl that I met all those years ago, and you haven't changed one bit since then. Fine, I get it, Flower says in a loud tone, and then she pouts. If it upsets you so much, then I won't act like this anymore. I will be serious and mature. I will talk like a grown-up. Will that be alright with you, Luna? For a moment I could see Flower's eyes turn blue as Luna just stared in front of her in shock. I never said that you need to use my real name when you... Wait, what? Which real name? Will it be alright with you, Luna? What else does she call her? Luna starts to say, but Flower interrupts. No, it's fine, Flower says, trying to imitate Kate's colder tone and look, although you can clearly see with a sadness in his eyes as she speaks. It was a childish thing to do anyway. I won't annoy you by using that nickname anymore. You weren't, Luna starts to say, but now it's Araka who interrupts her. How about you two continue your drama in your own free time, Araka says. After all, we didn't come here to hear your ramblings, isn't that right, Luna? Very well, Luna says as her expression darkens. You may continue with the training session. Thank you, Araka says. So, as I was saying, what Darren Hardrick needs to be focused on right now is to learn the basics of reading aura. The real basics, I mean, not the kind of stuff that can be done by literally every person in the world. As powerful mages, you should have the advantage of being able to learn this stuff in a matter of days instead of years with a little guidance. I'll give you more specific information at the end of this meeting. Darren seems to be reasonably adept at this sort of thing when he tries, but I'm not sure what to say about the dwarf. You kind of need to have a certain level of intelligence to be able to master the basics. Hardrick isn't exactly what you'd call a scholar, still we will see what can be done. While Hardrick mumbles what appears to be a dwarven swear under his... Why is he speaking dwarven swears instead of giant swears? I guess he did once say that he hangs around dwarves or something. Decide to ask Araka a question about the auras while we're still on the topic. Should the rest of us also be practicing our aura reading skills? I say. No, Araka says. Like I said just now, if you're not already a powerful mage, then you would need years to master the basics. So wait. How was... Wait, Is Barry even able to read auras then? Oh, that makes sense. That would understand that one choice that came up. That there was no option for, there was no option for, telling Flower that yeah, I can see your age is 29. It's because we couldn't see her age and we're just guessing. So that's interesting. No, Araka says, like I said just now, if you're not already powerful mage, then you would need years to master the basics. So for you, example, would just be wasting your time. Kate is a relatively powerful mage and she would probably benefit from learning this stuff, but I'd prefer it if she focused on the task I gave her instead, since her time is limited. Luna more or less knows the basics already. Flower didn't exactly learn them. But she can figure out some of the stuff at first glance, likely as a result of being an ethereal. And as for the mute girl, Layla was the name right anyway, so I think Layla may already know quite a bit more than the basics, since she's able to tell from your auras if you're lying or not. That's a pretty rare ability to have even for a Lasetti, so as far as aura reading skills go, she's on another level compared to you lot. I'm not sure if this is a result of many years of practice or if she's just particularly talented in the field though. I'm not really all that talented, Layla writes. All of the time I fail at calling people's bluff even after reading their aura. It's only for people that are very easy to read like Barry that I'm always managed to tell if they're lying or not. The mute girl brings up a good point, Araka says. Barry, your bluffing skills are simply abysmal. Your face and your tone of voice might not give you away most of the time, but when you lie about something, your aura just shakes like crazy. Don't do something about this problem of yours, you might risk giving us away to Selkrum before we even get to the point to put our plan in motion. Got control of your aura already. How do you expect me to do that? I say. By investing some points in your bluff stat, obviously. Araka says. Do I really need to tell you everything? My bluff stat, I say. You're the one that helps you keep the flow of your aura calm, even when you tell a bald-faced lie, Araka says. It's literally called bluff, you can't miss it. What are you talking about? I don't have a bluff stat on my stat device, neither does Layla. What? Araka says, no, that can't be right. You must be looking in the wrong place or something. Give me that stat device of yours. Bring it close to my amulet so I can study the magical particles on your screen properly. I'll find the stat for you. So there are stats that are locked except for the magic stat. Interesting. Well, if you say so, I say as I pull the stat device out of my pocket and bring it right in front of Araka's amulet. After about 15 seconds of silence, Arka finally decides to speak again. Something isn't right here, she says. It's not only a bluff stat that is missing. The other two aura related stats are missing too. I'm not seeing the magical sense stat or the aura hardening stat. What the hell is the aura hardening stat? Anywhere on the screen. What is magical sense stat? Oh, like what she does and detects the surrounding area. Could they have been hidden? Could they have been removed? No, hidden. Most definitely hidden. I think these stats may be hidden by default. The guys I saw using stat devices, stat boosters 600 years ago, must have had them unlocked manually. That's the only explanation I could come up with. You just say something about an aura hardening stat, I say as I put the device stat device back in my pocket. Is that something similar to supposed to be something similar to the technique invented by Hardrick, so he could defend himself in his shapeshifted state when he couldn't cast protection magic on himself, huh? Arka says, oh yeah, the dwarf does use something like that. But he's obviously not the first one to have invented this technique. Many others have come up with similar techniques in the past, which have more or less the same purpose. Never mind that though, I think I may have found a new task for you and Layla. I'm guessing that you still haven't made any progress towards unlocking your magical power and magical knowledge stats, but maybe you'll have more luck if you try to unlock your aura stat. You should get Darren to help you too, since he's an enchanter. Make sure that you don't tamper with the device too much. We wouldn't want you to accidentally break your stat device and to become even more useless than you already are. I'll take a look with Layla and Darren and we'll see what we can find. I'd rather wait until we meet up with Layla's father so he can take a look. Now, I highly doubt the game, this novel would allow us to break our stat device, because if we somehow did do that, I don't think we will be able to survive, and then with the main character dead, there won't be much of a story. So going off of that, I think I'll take a look with Layla and Darren and we'll see what we can find. Good, Haruka says. You can do that after we're done with the meeting, but remember not to pester Darren for help unless he's taken a break from his aura training. What is most crucial right now is that Darren and Hardrick find a way to contact the spirits they're linked to in the magical plane. Everything else comes seconds. I don't get it, Melinda says. Why is it so important for Hardrick and Darren to contact these spirits? How would that help them in any way to fight the God of Time? Oh right, you weren't here during our last two meetings, Araka says. Well, one of the reasons why Darren needs to contact his spirit is so that he can finally be rid of his incredibly inconvenient weakness of not being able to make magical barriers against physical attacks. It's pretty obvious that this problem of his comes from the fact that he's incorrectly linked with his spirit. So if they talk things out, maybe they'll find a way to fix it. That way he could finally test the ugly armor of his and wear something more fit for a mage, like some light leather armor. Not to mention that according to his ex-master, a lot of the moves he's been taught cannot be used due to the weight of his armor, and we all saw how well that old geezer could fight. Darren could use even half of those fancy moves. It would be a huge improvement. Okay, but what about Hardrick then? Malindra says. What would he have to gain by contacting his spirit? Nothing, Araka says, but that's not the point. What matters is that we would have something to gain by him contacting his spirits. And why would that be? Malindra says. Well, Araka says, the second and much more important reason why we want to get in contact with the spirit from the magical plane is if we want to set up a little conflict between the God of Time and the God of Death and all the other spirits. A conflict, Malindra says. Araka says. See, I'm not sure how much attention you've been paying to my discussion with Selkrum. Who the fuck is Selkrum? I think Selkrum is the God of Time, isn't it? See, I'm not sure how much attention you've been paying to my discussion with Selkrum, but one thing I mentioned when I was talking to him was that I figured out that he also tried to absorb other spirits, just like me, in order to gain more power. He failed incredibly and obviously never attempted anything like that again after the first few times, but the other spirits didn't know that. In fact, the other spirits don't know anything at all about the fact that he and Ulrich tried to absorb spirits, because if they did, they would have tried to throw them out of the magical plane, just like they did with me. Doesn't look like any of the spirits figured out the multiple voice Selkrum and Ulrich gained when they talk are coming from the spirits they absorb incorrectly. But that would change if I could somehow come into contact with one of the spirits of the magical planes and spill the beans. But would they believe you, Melinda says? They would be forced to believe me if I gave them enough proof, Araka says. And since I'm the one who invented the technique, I obviously knew exactly what they need to test. I obviously knew exactly what they need to test for in order to convince themselves that the voices are indeed coming from the badly absorbed spirits. Once they find this out, it's going to be complete chaos. All of the gods and powerful spirits in the magical realm will start fearing for their own existence, and they'll try to get rid of themselves get rid themselves of both Selkram and Ulrak. That would be also force the god of fate to pick a side in this conflict. While Memphegor may not care much about the god of time, he most certainly couldn't just turn against the god of death right in the middle of their alliance. Thus the three gods would have no choice but to form a new alliance while making enemies out of every single spirit in the magical plane.